Hey, welcome back to the Flavor Forge. I want you to picture something real quick for me. It's Saturday morning, just woken up. You have a long day of chores ahead of you. You still have to pick up the dog's poop. You gotta mow the lawn. You gotta vacuum the living room. You gotta do the laundry. And you know that hastily put together breakfast sandwich that you make in the morning is just not gonna cut it. You know the one I'm talking about. It's a couple slices of bread, maybe a little bit of mayo. You have your bologna, slice of cheese, and some egg. Smash that thing together, and off you go. Now, today we're making the ultimate fat boy breakfast sandwich. It's gonna be super tasty, and it's gonna fuel you for the rest of the day, I promise. Let's get to it. Look at all these wonderful ingredients. So this is the base for our fat boy breakfast sandwich. We're gonna start off with a nice flaky croissant. My favorite here when they're touching, the ends are touching here. It makes it so much easier when you're putting everything together. You just need a couple of eggs. We're gonna scramble those, add some chives into it. And while I was at the deli, I picked up some nice thick cut ham. We're also gonna throw in a hash brown in there. We'll cook that up. Got a little bit of mayo, and two special ingredients here that I think are just gonna blow this thing out of the water. That's gonna be a smoked Swiss and some cherrywood smoked bacon. Everything smells so good. I can also smell it all right now. The first thing we're going to do is just take a bread knife and we're going to cut this bad boy open. Right, just even cut all the way across. Careful not to cut your hand. And then look at that. Wonderful, right? We're not done yet. You're going to grab your spatula. You're going to take a little bit of that mayo, and you're just going to rub some of that all around. I hope the camera's getting this well. Look at that. Good. Perfect. Now, take this, throw it in your toaster oven. You can put it on a pan. I'm actually going to take you over to the stove and show you how I'm just going to toast this up just on one side on the pan, all right? Let's head that way. What I'd like to do is get my skillet nice and warm. You don't have to be too hot. I use the cast iron. That seems to work really well. Get it to the point, you don't want it to smoke, so just make sure that it's on a kind of a low heat. I decided this is where I'm going to do it instead of toasting it in the oven. With that mayo side down, you're just going to let that sit right there. You can see it's starting to toast, it's getting a little bit of color. That's exactly what we want. We're going to leave that on there for a little bit, and then we're going to go to the rest of our ingredients and start getting some of that stuff ready. Well, that's toasting. I think what I'd like to do is get some of our ingredients together, and I think the first thing should be getting these chives chopped up. You might have to clean your chives a little bit. These are like from a living plant. So you're gonna wash these first, then chop these up into tiny pieces. Can you see that? They might be too small. Or the camera angle might be a little off, but look at that. Very simple. Okay, we'll cut up the rest of it here. Get rid of that little straggler and that little straggler. No big deal. Okay. Now we have our bacon, and I'm just going to cut this bacon in half. We're going to have a nice thick cut of ham, so I'm actually going to do two of these fat boy breakfast sandwiches, but with these two here, we're only going to do 2 slices per sandwich. Now I want you to come take a look at this, because this is real nice and toasted. You can see, hopefully you can see it, you can see that they're starting to get real toasted. You can flip them over so that way the other side gets a little bit toasted as well, but I like it just like that. Not burnt, just flaky. All right, with this hot pan, we can actually throw in our bacon. Let's do that. Let's get our bacon going so that way we can at least get some of this started. We're gonna let this get nice and crispy in there. Here, get a closer look at this bacon here. You can see how those pieces start to shrivel up a little bit as it cooks. That's a lot of the fat cooking off. I only have that the center burner on, the small one, so you'll see these ones are cooking a little bit faster. Now, so I can start prepping everything else, I'm just going to move everything off to the sides, and we'll come back to this and take a look at it a little bit later. Next, we're going to crack a couple of eggs. That's what we're going to do for our scrambled eggs here. Just a couple of these. Actually, I'm going to do 3, but I think 2 will be just enough. Alright, I'm not going to use a fancy whisk, I'm just going to scramble these with a fork. And this will be perfect. This will be ready for us when we're ready to start making the eggs. Set that aside. Now look at this bacon. Look, it's starting to get nice and crispy. I did turn it down a little bit because it's starting to smoke. You want it to get crispy just like that. All right, do yourself a favor, lay down a paper towel. What we're gonna do is we're gonna let the bacon sit on that, kind of dry it off a bit. You know, this is a fat boy breakfast sandwich, but we do not need to just destroy our arteries. Not completely today anyways. Perfect. Give that a little pat on each side, flip it over. Alright, put that aside. We gotta keep going. We don't want any of this to get too cold, right? Alright. We're not gonna add any oil because that fat from the bacon is gonna cook these hash browns. Go ahead and throw them in. Let those go. Alright, we're gonna share some space over here. Let's go ahead and turn on this pan over here to the right. And I trimmed up our ham a little bit just so it would fit better on our sandwich. We're gonna toss that in, let that cook up a little bit. We're going at a pretty good pace. The nice thing about these Fat Boy breakfast sandwiches is they don't take too long to cook, and you can do multiple things in the same pan. You know, I'm gonna be using maybe 2 pans of this whole cook. So once the ham's done cooking in there and heated up, then I'll throw the eggs in. We're gonna start going back to the table and we'll layer everything together. Sound good? Take a look at our croissants here. We got our bottoms and our tops. We're gonna start to layer everything in together, okay? So now that the ham's probably cooked or hot enough, I'm gonna throw those on here. Remember, we did add mayo. You can add extra mayo if you want, but I'm gonna leave it just like this. Here's that first piece of ham. Here's that second. Now we're gonna add the hash browns onto here too, okay? Let's just straighten this out. Let's make it look a little bit nicer. Maybe uniform, I don't know. All right, look at this golden color on that. These hash browns, woo! Amazing. All right, with that, we're gonna add a little bit of that cheese on there, just a slice each to start out with. Boom. Bam. Tasty. All right, and then we want to layer in our bacon. So you have your meat, tater, bacon, cheese bacon, and then what comes next is our egg. Now we're going to start out with throwing in some butter, coat the pan in butter. We just want it to melt but not burn. Get it hot enough so that way we go directly in with the eggs. And we get our scramble going. We'll fold them in. Alright, let that melt. Something else goes on. Sorry. Perfect. Now add your eggs. And feel free to turn it down too. If this is too high and it starts to go crazy, you can always just turn it down. I'm going to wait till it thickens up a little bit more before I add the chives in. But you can see how it's starting to thicken. Make sure you're constantly stirring and turning. Or folding, I guess is the correct term, right? tasty eggs. We're gonna salt and pepper these afterwards, so don't worry about doing that now. I have to be careful. What happens is I turn this a little too low and everything goes out. We'll just have to work a little faster. Yeah, that's starting to look like what we want it to look like. Just keep folding and turning and scrambling and mixing. Oh yes, this is like prime time to throw in these chives. Let's go ahead and do that now. Fold everything in. Don't want to burn the eggs. So in a minute, I'm actually just going to turn this off. I like my eggs just a little bit sloppy. All right, and that residual heat's going to continue to cook it. All right, I'm going to finish this up, and you guys go ahead and meet me over at the croissants. Now to add our egg in. Oh my goodness, look at this. It's going to be sloppy, I told you. But this is 3 eggs and we're going to use all of it. It's fine. Oh, look at that. Why don't you stay? This is where we're going to layer everything. Oh, shoot. Wait. I forgot. Throw a little bit of finishing salt on here. A little bit of pepper. Now we can throw on that cheese. All right, let's get a slice there. Another slice here. And that smoked Swiss is just gonna elevate everything so much. You're gonna think, wow, but there's so many flavors. How are you gonna pick up on that? You will. You'll pick up on it. Oh, look at that. You hear that crunch? It's flaky. All right, there's only one thing left to do, and that's to give it a try. All right. Let's switch camera angles for this one. You know what, look, take a look at this real quick. First look at this Fat Boy breakfast sandwich. Got that cheese there, and look, it's starting to melt in there. Ooh, can you see it? All right. We gotta give this a try. We're gonna rate our Fat Boy breakfast burger here. What's the scale? 0 to yum. The flavor's pretty incredible. I think what I like the most is the smokiness isn't overpowering, right? So we had smoked ham, smoked cheese, smoked cherrywood smoked bacon, and the bacon isn't overly smoky, which I like. But then there's this flaky texture that comes through, and then a little bit of that crispy, I was gonna say tater tots, crispy hash brown that just brings this whole thing together. Oh, man, it's wonderful. But if you're counting calories, this is probably not the meal for you. This thing is just loaded with protein and just tons of tasty goodness. Protein, you know, some carbs. But I'll tell you what, I'm ready to get on to washing those dishes. I'm gonna go pick up the dog poop. I'm gonna go wash some clothes, and I won't be hungry till dinner time. Hopefully. We'll see. Well, anyways, thank you everyone. I appreciate you all watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And stick around. There's going to be some other fun stuff. I do a mixture of some of these meat-centric videos and some vegetarian stuff. So I hope you guys stick around. All right, catch you later.